The sky was clear that morning, the sun bright and warm over every city, town, and village. Birds flew in their usual patterns, and people went about their daily routines. But slowly, a strange shimmer appeared near the horizon. At first, it looked like an odd cloud or the reflection of the sun on the atmosphere. Then the shimmer grew. Shapes began to form, immense, smooth, and impossible to hide. In major cities around the world, people stopped and stared. Cars slowed, planes shifted, course and alarms began to sound. On the streets of New York, London, Beijing, and Mumbai, people pointed upward, jaws dropped, phones raised, capturing the impossible. Thousands of colossal ships hovered silently, floating like dark islands above Earth. Each one was larger than any human imagination could contain. Long, silver and shimmering in the sunlight, covered in patterns that looked like circuits and living veins at once. Governments scrambled. Military commanders called emergency meetings. Scientists raced to their observatories. Everyone tried to understand what had arrived, but there was no warning, no signal, only presence. Then a sound, not a sound, appeared in everyone's mind at once. A calm, clear voice echoed inside the minds of billions of people, even those who had their windows closed or were in underground bunkers. "People of Earth," the voice said, "we are the Arathians. We come not to harm, but to protect you. From threats you cannot see, from dangers you cannot stop. We have watched your species, and we have chosen to ensure your survival." The voice was pleasant, almost musical, and yet carried a weight that demanded attention, panic and awe mixed. Some people fell to their knees. Some laughed nervously. A few ran, unsure where to go. World leaders were immediately contacted by the Arathians. The aliens appeared holographically in global conference rooms, projecting forms that resembled humanoid shapes, though far taller and more elegant. Their skin shimmered like liquid metal, and their eyes glowed softly with colors no human had ever named. They spoke with precision and calm confidence. "We will defend your planet from any cosmic danger," they explained. "Asteroids, hostile extraterrestrial forces, rogue technologies. We will neutralize them before they reach you. You need only remain safe." The leaders listened, their minds racing. Promises of protection were one thing, but complete reliance on beings so powerful was something else entirely. They asked questions. How would the Arathians detect threats? How long would they stay? What was expected of humans in return? "You will not need to fight," the Arathian said. "Only observe, only live." Despite the promise, humans reacted differently than the aliens expected. They did not grovel. They did not bow. Instead, there was silence at first, and then quiet laughter in some rooms. Even the leaders found themselves smiling. "Really?" muttered one diplomat, shaking his head with a grin. "We're just supposed to watch?" Outside, humans took a more practical approach. Children pointed at the sky, shouting in excitement. Teenagers tried to record videos, some joking that aliens had finally come to babysit Earth. Scientists looked at the alien ships with a mix of fascination and disbelief. Engineers speculated about the technology, while ordinary people wondered if these protectors had weaknesses the aliens didn't even know about. Even as the world marveled at the ships, subtle signs of alien arrogance became clear. They moved, slowly, almost gracefully, but in a way that suggested they assumed humans were incapable of independent thought. Their explanations were complete but simplified, as if humans could not understand advanced concepts. They spoke of planetary defense and interstellar diplomacy, yet seemed surprised when humans asked questions that showed creativity and insight beyond their expectations. In the deserts of Africa, in the jungles of South America, and on frozen plains of Antarctica, small groups of humans gathered outside. Some observed the massive ships with fear, others with curiosity. They tested their own reactions. Amateur radio operators sent harmless signals into space, just to see if the aliens noticed. Small drones buzzed near the hulls of the ships, and the aliens responded, altering energy fields to gently push the drones away. Humans laughed at the attempt, calling it a friendly warning. The Arathians, meanwhile, began setting up what they called observation nodes around Earth. Towers of shimmering energy appeared in orbit and on land, designed to monitor threats in every direction. They expected humans to comply quietly, to accept the protective measures. Instead, people began experimenting. Engineers tried to hack the energy nodes, not to damage them, but just to understand them. Scientists launched probes into the nodes' fields. The Arathians observed, perhaps with growing confusion, as humans approached their technology with curiosity, boldness, and even humor. "They are unpredictable," one Arathian said, its form flickering as if unsure. "We expected gratitude. We expected reliance. We did not expect laughter." And yet humans continued their routines. Traffic flowed, people ate breakfast, kids went to school, and markets opened. Even with alien ships above, humanity carried on, refusing to panic or surrender its agency. Some humans found small ways to push boundaries. Teenagers sent drones close enough to the alien ships to cast their own shadows on the massive hulls. Farmers in remote villages experimented with signal mirrors, reflecting sunlight toward the ships. Artists painted murals imagining what the aliens' homeworlds might look like. In every case, humans were not defying, they were engaging. And the Arathians began to understand that this species, unpredictable as it was, could not simply be protected without also being respected. In the meantime, the media exploded with reports. Social networks filled with videos, memes, and live reactions. Memes of humans smiling at alien ships went viral. News anchors described the arrival in stunned tones, but reporters also added humor, showing that even under immense pressure, humans kept their wit alive. A young girl in Tokyo watched the sky hugging her cat. "They say they're protecting us," she whispered, "but I don't think we need saving." Her words were simple, but the truth behind them reflected a quiet confidence, a belief in human resilience. By evening, alien messages had shifted. They sent projections showing distant comets, asteroid belts, and cosmic storms, explaining how they could prevent each from striking Earth. Yet humans continued to smile, to joke, and to ask questions the aliens did not have answers for. In subtle ways, humans were teaching the Arathians that protection alone was not enough. Understanding, respect, and partnership were required. And so the first day passed. The ships hung silently in the sky, energy nodes glimmered, and humans walked among each other with a mix of awe and amusement. One thing was clear: the aliens had arrived with power, technology, and promises. But humans had something the Arathians could not measure: resilience, humor, creativity, and the refusal to bow without reason. When night fell, people all over Earth looked at the sky. Stars twinkled above the alien ships. In that silence, humanity's collective voice could almost be heard. "We see you. We know you are powerful, but don't forget, we are humans. We always find a way." The Arathians, observing from above, recorded every movement, every reaction, every smile. And for the first time in their long history of watching planets, they paused. Perhaps protection was not simply about shielding a species. Perhaps it was about understanding it, respecting it, and sometimes learning from it. The day after the Arathians arrived, the world began to settle into a strange rhythm. People had grown used to the massive ships floating silently above the skies, and though awe lingered, curiosity and mischief soon took its place. Humans could not simply sit still and watch. They were a species built on questions, exploration, and the subtle thrill of testing limits. In the deserts of Nevada, a group of amateur engineers set up a small drone lab. The drones were simple, ordinary machines by human standards, yet the engineers had one goal: see how the Arathians' defenses would react. When the first drone buzzed upward, the aliens' energy shields activated, gently redirecting it back to the ground. The engineers exchanged nervous laughter. "They can push our toys away," said Jamil, a young engineer with dark hair and bright eyes. "But can they understand us laughing at them?" Across the ocean, a small village in Kenya noticed strange light patterns near the edge of one of the hovering ships. Children, playing in the sand, built small reflective mirrors and pointed them at the energy nodes, creating flashes that danced across the ship's surfaces. The Arathians had anticipated threats like asteroids or meteor swarms, but they had not predicted playful human ingenuity. A faint shimmer of confusion rippled through their collective consciousness. "Curious," said an Arathian voice, echoing, "in their monitoring systems. Their behavior does not follow predictable survival patterns. They are reactive, yet not fearful. They seem amused." Meanwhile, world leaders held another conference. Though they had initially been cautious, some found themselves questioning the necessity of the Arathians' protection. If humans could already find ways to explore and experiment around the alien technology, perhaps the species was not as helpless as the Arathians assumed. "We have to let them test us," said a young diplomat from Germany. "It is what humans do. They always push limits. If the aliens are truly here to protect us, they should understand that humans cannot simply be passive." And so, the experiments grew bolder. Engineers in Europe launched small satellites, sending harmless signals toward the alien nodes in orbit. The Arathians, confident in their superior sensors, intercepted each signal with ease, neutralizing or redirecting them. Yet every attempt left a trail of curiosity, a small gap in the alien perfection that humans found fascinating. Scientists began to dissect the responses, noting patterns, strengths, and even weaknesses. In the United States, college students launched balloons with cameras and small electronic devices. Each balloon floated near the ships, recording data, and then returned with information about the alien energy fields. The Arathians, for the first time, seemed to acknowledge human persistence. They could not fully understand why humans were doing this, why curiosity and playfulness drove so many of these experiments. "They are testing us," said one Arathian, its form flickering like a silver flame, but not with aggression. "They test for understanding, for knowledge." Human creativity was not limited to technology. Artists around the world painted murals, depicting the alien ships in imaginative ways, some as guardians, some as looming giants, others as friendly visitors. Children wrote stories, imagining conversations between humans and aliens. Musicians composed songs, mimicking the strange tones and lights from the ships. Even without directly interacting with the Arathians, humans expressed themselves, asserting their identity. Yet it was not all light-hearted fun. Governments, while supportive of experimentation, still worried about the aliens' immense power. Could a misstep provoke the Arathians? Could their attempts at humor or testing be seen as hostility? In quiet rooms, scientists and leaders debated the risks, but one truth became clear. Humans could not resist their own nature. Curiosity, ingenuity, and a sense of humor were ingrained in every soul. In the skies above the Pacific Ocean, a small team of human astronauts conducted their own experiment. Using an unmodified communication satellite, they transmitted a sequence of signals resembling playful patterns, a digital hello in mathematical code. The Arathians intercepted it instantly. A faint ripple of surprise spread among the Sci-Fi alien observers. They had not expected humans to reach such subtlety so quickly. "They do not fear us," one said, almost in disbelief. "They do not bow. They approach with boldness." In cities across Earth, social media buzzed with experiments, jokes, and videos of humans interacting with the alien presence. People laughed at the massive ships reflected in puddles after rain, or at the shadows the ships cast on playgrounds. Humor became a quiet rebellion against intimidation. Humans were not scared, even if awe filled their hearts. In small corners of the world, ordinary life continued with remarkable determination. Farmers in Argentina found that crops grew unaffected by alien energy fields. Fishermen in Norway noticed that fish swam differently near the ships, and children studied the patterns with fascination. Humans adapted to the presence of the Arathians, blending everyday life with the extraordinary. The aliens, meanwhile, began to change their approach. Initially, they had acted as observers, imposing minimal interference. But humans' playful experiments and persistent curiosity prompted a subtle shift. The Arathians realized they needed to understand humans in a new way, not as subjects but as participants. "Observation alone is insufficient," said one Arathian. "We must learn their patterns not to control, but to comprehend." And so, the first unofficial human-alien interaction took place. A small team of human engineers created a harmless puzzle, an array of lights and signals designed to interact with the alien energy shields. They did not know what would happen, but the signals caused the shields to change color and pulse rhythmically. Scientists watched in amazement, recording the data. The Arathians responded not with hostility but with fascination. They had never encountered a species that approached technology with such playfulness and boldness. Children became ambassadors in their own right. In schools and playgrounds, they experimented with light, sound, and movement to see how the alien ships would respond. The Arathians, who had expected humanity to be fearful and compliant, now watched with something like wonder. Small, unpredictable humans could influence enormous ships without any aggression, simply by being curious and creative. Even in the halls of power, humans tested boundaries. Leaders asked subtle questions, probing the aliens' understanding of human culture, history, and humor. The aliens answered with precision, yet sometimes faltered when confronted with illogical or unexpected queries. Humans smiled at this, not mockingly, but with the quiet confidence that comes from knowing life cannot be entirely predicted. One night, a quiet reflection took place over Europe. Observers watched the ships drift silently above cities lit with twinkling lights. People on rooftops and balconies stared upward, not with fear but with amusement and curiosity. The Arathians' shields pulsed softly, a silent acknowledgement of human presence. Humans whispered to each other, sharing thoughts about the strange visitors, their promises, and their own place in the universe. "They think they can control everything," one teenager said, looking at the shimmering ship. "But we always find a way to make them laugh, or at least confuse them." In the deserts of Australia, scientists conducted small-scale experiments with harmless electromagnetic pulses. The pulses caused minor fluctuations in the alien monitoring nodes, enough to confuse the ship's predictive algorithms. Humans watched, fascinated, and for the first time the aliens seemed unsettled, not threatened, but surprised. "They are unpredictable," admitted an Arathian, "yet not chaotic. They are capable of insight, adaptation, and creativity. We expected compliance. We did not expect partnership." By the end of the week, the pattern became clear. Humans were not passive recipients of alien protection. They were active participants in their own safety, exploration, and understanding. Through humor, ingenuity, and curiosity, humans had tested the aliens' assumptions without aggression or malice. World leaders took note. In a global broadcast, a diplomat smiled at the camera. "People of Earth, the Arathians have promised to protect us. But we have discovered something more important. We can protect ourselves, in our own way." The Arathians, observing silently above, processed this revelation. They had arrived as protectors, assuming humans would follow instructions without question. Instead, humans had challenged their assumptions, not with weapons, but with wit, creativity, and courage. And for the first time, the aliens realized that protection alone might not be what Earth truly needed. As night fell across the planet, humans looked to the stars with quiet confidence. Children slept under alien shadows, dreaming of playful experiments. Scientists recorded data from drones and signals. Leaders discussed the future with cautious optimism. Humanity had not been cowed, and they had not been obedient. They had tested, questioned, and smiled. And in doing so, they had shown the first spark of something the Arathians had not anticipated: the unyielding spirit of Earth's people. Above, the world, the alien ships glimmered in the moonlight, sensors scanning, calculations running, and circuits glowing. Yet the Arathians, for all their advanced technology, could not fully predict the next move of the humans below. And perhaps they thought that was exactly how it should be. The calm curiosity of humans and the silent observation of the Arathians were about to be tested in a way no one had expected. Far beyond Earth, in the depths of the solar system, a massive object moved toward the planet. It was unlike anything humans had seen before, an enormous fleet of dark, jagged ships traveling at incredible speed. At first, only the Arathians detected it. Their sensors picked up signals, energy patterns, and movements that immediately triggered alarm. They analyzed the fleet and concluded it was hostile. This was no wandering asteroid or natural phenomenon. These were warships, seemingly alive, with technology designed to destroy or conquer. Threat detected, the Arathians announced to humanity. Their voices carried across communication networks worldwide. We will neutralize the danger before it reaches you. You need not intervene. People looked up at the skies, seeing the massive ships above them, and then turned to the sensors and monitors feeding images of the approaching fleet. Panic rippled for a moment, but humanity's reaction was not what the Arathians expected. Instead of hiding or panicking, humans began to strategize. Scientists and engineers rapidly shared calculations, mapping trajectories, analyzing enemy technology, and predicting possible attack vectors. Civilians contributed ideas, some practical, some imaginative, but all demonstrating one truth. Humans could think, adapt, and act in ways the aliens had not anticipated. They are attempting to participate, said one Arathian. They do not follow instructions blindly. They seek to understand and to assist. By the time the first ships of the enemy fleet entered the outer atmosphere of the solar system, humans had begun to implement subtle strategies. Engineers on Earth used satellites and probes to create false energy signals, masking Earth's position. Cities experimented with temporary electromagnetic fields, diverting sensors, and confusing enemy scanners. Even ordinary objects, old satellites, cargo ships, and floating debris were repurposed to mislead and delay the approaching armada. In orbit, the Arathians deployed their defensive forces, large energy shields, and weapon systems designed to destroy or neutralize the enemy fleet. They expected humans to remain passive, to watch and obey. But humans did not comply in the way the aliens anticipated. They began sending their own signals, coordinating with Arathian systems in ways that had not been tested before. Interesting, said one Arathian. They anticipate moves. They predict behavior. They are complementary. On Earth, news channels broadcast updates in real time. Citizens watched as humans and aliens working together created a complex web of defenses. Mathematicians calculated interception points. Programmers developed algorithms to predict enemy maneuvers. Even children contributed by observing patterns in simulations, sharing insights that adults had overlooked. The first encounter occurred near the asteroid belt. Enemy ships launched high-speed projectiles toward Earth's orbit. The Arathians moved swiftly, neutralizing most threats with ease. But the humans suggested subtle adjustments, slight shifts in trajectory and timing, that improved efficiency and reduced collateral damage. The aliens implemented these suggestions cautiously, yet they worked perfectly. They are teaching us to work differently, whispered an Arathian. Their intuition is remarkable. Back on Earth, ordinary people continued their role. Farmers monitored ground-level sensors, adjusting signals based on local readings. Students at universities ran simulations and shared results online. Engineers in garages and labs tested unconventional methods. Reflective satellites, sound wave, deflectors, and even large-scale kites designed to carry sensor arrays into the upper atmosphere. Every small action contributed to the greater defense. As the enemy fleet entered Earth's immediate vicinity, tension filled the planet. Alarms rang, ships maneuvered, and energy shields shimmered across the sky. The Arathians prepared to strike, decisively, confident in their superiority. Yet humans were ready. Using subtle strategy, they guided alien defenses, suggested timing adjustments, and even predicted enemy attacks in ways the aliens could not. The first major attack came without warning. Enemy warships fired massive energy beams toward Earth's orbit, targeting the Arathians' shield generators. The aliens moved to intercept, But the human suggestions, timing, angle, positioning, diverted the beams just enough to prevent catastrophic damage. A small satellite network initially launched for observation reflected energy pulses that confused enemy targeting systems. They are thinking ahead, the Arathians admitted. They anticipate moves we could not calculate. Humans were not perfect. Mistakes occurred. Some signals misfired, some strategies failed. But they adapted quickly, learning from errors, adjusting plans in real time and communicating constantly. Each action, whether small or significant, showcased the resilience and ingenuity of the human species. In the midst of the chaos, a group of astronauts aboard an orbital station initiated an unconventional tactic. Using stored energy from solar arrays, they created a temporary diversion, an energy pulse aimed to attract enemy fire. The plan worked. Enemy ships shifted focus, giving both human and Arathian forces critical seconds to reposition defenses. On the ground, people watched with a mixture of fear and pride. They realized that for the first time, humans were actively participating in an interstellar battle, not as helpless spectators, but as creative strategists. Their voices, their observations, their ingenuity mattered. As the battle intensified, the Arathians began to speak more openly to humans. Through secure channels, they communicated tactical instructions, but also acknowledged human contributions. "Your suggestions are effective," said one Arathian. "You do not fight with weapons as we do, but with ideas, predictions, and creativity. You are formidable." Humans smiled at the acknowledgement. It was not arrogance, it was pride in their ability to think, adapt, and survive. The turning point came when a massive enemy ship attempted a direct strike on Earth. The Arathians prepared to intercept, but humans suggested a combined tactic, using reflections, electromagnetic diversions, and subtle energy pulses to guide the ship into an empty asteroid field. The plan succeeded perfectly. Millions of lives were saved, and the enemy ship was neutralized without direct destruction. "They work with us," admitted the Arathians almost in awe. "We protect, but they lead. We intervene, but they guide." By the end of the first day of battle, the enemy fleet had been pushed back. Many ships were disabled, some destroyed, and others scattered. Humans and Arathians, working together, had achieved a remarkable victory. Back on Earth, people celebrated quietly. There were no parades yet, no speeches, only a shared understanding that humans had contributed in a meaningful way. Engineers hugged colleagues, children laughed at the reflections of alien ships, and scientists recorded data for future analysis. The planet had survived, not just because of alien protection, but because humans had played their part. At night, the Arathians held a silent council above the Earth. For the first time, they recognized that protection alone was not enough. Humans were not helpless. They were not passive. They were partners, creative, bold, and capable of guiding even the most powerful beings in the universe. "Perhaps we underestimated them," one Arathian said. "Perhaps protection is not our gift alone. Perhaps they too have the power to defend, to strategize, to lead." Humans, sleeping under the glimmering alien ships, had no idea of the council above. They dreamed of simple things, playgrounds, friends, family, but their actions had already shaped the course of an interstellar battle. When dawn broke, the sky was calm once again. The enemy fleet was distant, defeated, but not gone. Humans emerged from their homes looking upward with a quiet confidence. They knew that danger still existed, but they also knew something else. Together, humans and aliens could face it. Humans had tested, adapted, and survived. They had guided the mighty, and in doing so, they had shown the universe that Earth's people were not to be underestimated. The Arathians, observing silently, understood a truth they had not fully grasped before. Humanity's strength was not in weapons, nor in numbers, nor even in technology alone. It was in creativity, courage, adaptability, and the unyielding spirit that refused to bow. even when faced with overwhelming power. Earth had survived its first test. But both humans and Arathians knew that this was only the beginning. More challenges would come, more threats would appear, and humans, in their quiet confidence and cleverness, would be ready. Above all, one thing remained clear. Humans were not helpless. They were unpredictable, they were resourceful, and they had already begun to shape the destiny of their planet, with or without the aliens' protection. The days after the first battle were filled with preparation and planning. Earth's skies still held the massive presence of the Arathian ships, but humans were no longer passive observers. They had tasted victory, even a small one, and the spark of confidence spread quickly. Governments, scientists, engineers, and ordinary people began to see themselves as active participants in their planet's defense. In orbit, Arathian commanders recalibrated their strategies. They had anticipated efficiency from their superior technology, but humans had demonstrated a level of creativity that even they had not fully accounted for. Subtle adjustments, unexpected solutions, and ideas that seemed simple on the surface proved remarkably effective. "They are unpredictable," said one Arathian commander. "But in their unpredictability there is logic. In their improvisation there is genius." On Earth, teams of scientists worked alongside engineers, developing hybrid strategies that combined alien technology with human ingenuity. Using Arathian energy shields, humans created controlled zones where enemy ships could be manipulated or diverted. Satellites, once used only for communication or observation, became active instruments in the planetary defense system. In Tokyo, a group of high school students ran a simulation on an old gaming computer, testing various formations for enemy fleets. The results were startling. Some formations suggested by the students, though unconventional, improved the efficiency of energy shields and allowed Arathian ships to focus on high-priority targets. Engineers immediately implemented the changes in real time. "Incredible," muttered an Arathian officer. "They think differently. They see patterns we might overlook. Their minds are extraordinary." Not all humans were in laboratories or control rooms. Ordinary citizens contributed in ways that were equally important. In rural areas, farmers monitored energy fluctuations in the atmosphere and reported anomalies. Fishermen observed currents and patterns in the oceans that could affect enemy ship movements. Children noticed reflections and light patterns that provided unexpected intelligence. Humans were everywhere, quietly observing, quietly contributing, quietly leading. The Arathians realized that even the smallest actions of humans could have a significant impact on the broader defense strategy. Then came the next major confrontation. The enemy fleet, though damaged, returned stronger and more organized. Their approach was calculated, and their intent clear. Earth must be destroyed. Arathian forces prepared for battle, but humans were ready. They had studied enemy patterns, predicted attack routes, and developed new tactics that leveraged both human creativity and alien technology. The first wave of enemy ships approached in tight formation. Energy beams lit up space as defenses activated. Arathian shields shimmered, intercepting projectiles, but humans suggested adjustments in real time, using satellite clusters to divert attacks subtly. The changes were precise, saving entire cities from potential devastation. In one daring maneuver, a human-led team devised a plan to trap several enemy ships using gravitational fields generated by asteroid belts. By calculating trajectories and timing with precision, they lured the enemy into a controlled zone. The Arathians, initially skeptical, implemented the strategy, and it worked perfectly. Enemy ships were immobilized, their systems confused by the unexpected tactic. "They are not just participants," an Arathian commander admitted. "They are strategists." On the ground, humans watched as hybrid battles unfolded above. News broadcasts displayed real-time updates, satellites reflecting energy pulses, drones guiding enemy movements, and humans suggesting new tactics in sync with Arathian systems. It was a collaboration unlike anything the universe had seen. Even humor played a role. Engineers developed mock enemy patterns to test responses, and the Arathians observed with growing amusement at the creativity behind human simulations. Children created maps of imaginary enemy fleets, and their insights occasionally revealed weaknesses that even advanced alien sensors had missed. Amid the battles, a human-led initiative called the Signal Diversion Project became critical. Scientists and engineers used ordinary objects, old satellites, abandoned space stations, and even floating debris, to create patterns that distracted enemy targeting systems. These efforts were subtle but highly effective, and the Arathians had to adapt quickly to incorporate human strategies. "They adapt faster than expected," said one Arathian. "They improvise, they coordinate, they lead, and yet they are not reckless. Their courage is remarkable." The turning point came during a massive assault on the Arathian orbital station. Enemy ships fired a barrage of energy beams aiming to break through the defensive lines. Humans suggested a maneuver that involved redirecting energy through a combination of alien shields and human-controlled satellites, effectively creating a mirror wall that reflected the enemy's fire back toward them. The plan worked flawlessly. Several enemy ships were disabled instantly, and the remainder retreated in confusion. Humans had not only saved the station, but had also demonstrated their capacity to lead, innovate, and coordinate on a scale previously thought impossible. After the battle, Arathian commanders held a council to discuss the humans' role. Their observations were unanimous. Humanity was not just clever, it was indispensable. The species had an instinct for problem-solving, a capacity for improvisation, and a bravery that complemented alien power in ways no technology alone could achieve. "They are partners in defense," one Arathian said. "Perhaps more than we anticipated. Perhaps we have underestimated them." Humans, meanwhile, did not seek praise. They had participated, contributed, and led in ways that felt natural. They had shown ingenuity, courage, and the unyielding spirit of a species that refused to be passive. Their satisfaction came not from accolades, but from knowing they had saved lives and taken part in shaping their destiny. In the days following the battle, humans and Arathians worked even more closely. Joint training exercises were conducted, combining alien precision with human creativity. Strategies were tested, refined, and executed with increasing efficiency. Humans were no longer observers. They were leaders in their own right. The presence of alien ships in the sky became less intimidating and more familiar. Children played beneath their shadows, scientists continued experiments, and ordinary people went about daily life, secure in the knowledge that they were part of a larger, coordinated defense. The Arathians, observing this integration, realized a profound truth. Protection alone was not enough. Humans needed agency, involvement, and leadership. By allowing humans to take the lead in certain operations, they had strengthened Earth's defenses far beyond what pure alien technology could achieve. "We have learned from them," admitted an Arathian commander. "Their courage, their ingenuity, their unpredictability. It enhances everything we do. They are not just the protected, they are defenders, collaborators, and leaders." And so, Earth entered a new era. No longer was humanity passive or dependent. They had proven their capacity to think, act, and lead in a crisis. They had combined their creativity with alien technology, showing the universe that Earth's people were not only resilient but also indispensable. As night fell, humans looked to the skies with quiet pride. The stars twinkled, alien ships shimmered above, and Earth itself felt alive with the potential of its people. They had taken the lead in their own defense and had earned the respect of beings far more powerful than themselves. Above the planet, the Arathians observed silently, no longer as protectors alone, but as partners in a shared mission. They understood that humans had something no technology could replace: intuition, courage, and the ability to think in ways that even advanced civilizations could not always predict. The universe was vast, filled with unknown dangers and unexpected challenges. But for the first time, humans had not only survived, they had led, innovated, and earned a place as equal participants in their planet's defense. And in the quiet moments, when children laughed under alien shadows and scientists watched satellites, Dance in orbit, one truth became clear. Humanity was not just alive. Humanity was unstoppable when it combined courage, creativity, and collaboration. The battles were not over. Threats would continue to emerge. But Earth, for the first time, faced the future not as a passive planet under protection, but as a strong, innovative, and proud world led by its own people. Humans had taken the lead, and the universe, watching, silently, began to understand why they should never be underestimated. The threat had passed, but the skies above Earth were far from empty. Alien ships still hovered silently, their massive forms glinting in the sunlight, a constant reminder of the challenges that had been faced and the victories that had been won. Humans moved among them with confidence now, no longer awed or frightened. Instead, there was pride, curiosity, and a quiet understanding. Earth was safe, but its people were not helpless. In the days after the battle, humans and Arathians worked closely to rebuild the parts of orbit and the planet that had been affected. Damaged satellites were repaired, debris cleared, and energy systems recalibrated. Humans, engineers, and scientists led many of these efforts, guiding the aliens in ways they had never anticipated. Their methods are unconventional, said one Arathian commander, observing a human crew constructing a repair platform from salvaged materials. Yet effective beyond our calculations, their creativity surpasses any formula we have. Across the globe, ordinary humans continued their daily lives. Children played beneath the shadows of the hovering ships. Schools held lessons on science and history with examples drawn from the recent battles. And families shared stories of courage and cooperation. Humanity had survived a cosmic threat, not just through alien protection, but through their own ingenuity, courage, and persistence. A summit was held in Geneva, where humans and Arathians came together for the first formal discussion after the battles. Leaders of Earth, scientists, engineers, and a few carefully selected civilians joined representatives from the alien fleet. The Arathians spoke with a calm authority, acknowledging the humans' contributions. "You have proven yourselves remarkable," said one Arathian. "You do not merely live under our protection, you lead, innovate, and inspire. Earth is safer not because we guard it, but because you have fought alongside us." Humans smiled. One diplomat stood and addressed the room with a mix of humor and pride. "Thank you, but let's be clear, while your technology is impressive, we've learned something important. We can protect ourselves too, and sometimes we like to do it our way." The room filled with laughter. Even the Arathians seemed to shimmer slightly, a subtle sign of amusement or perhaps understanding. For centuries they had been observers of planets, assuming superiority over every species they encountered. Earth was different. Humans did not bow. They did not simply follow. They collaborated, challenged, and inspired. Meanwhile, children across the world watched from their homes and schools. They did not fully understand the complexities of interstellar strategy, yet they sensed the change. They saw humans and aliens working together, learning from each other, and achieving what seemed impossible. Dreams of space exploration, invention, and adventure grew brighter with every passing day. In orbit, humans and Arathians continued joint exercises. The Arathians had long relied on their technology and superior calculation, but humans brought intuition, creativity, and unpredictable solutions. Together, they explored the cosmos, learning from one another, planning for potential threats, and building systems that combined alien precision with human ingenuity. "They inspire innovation in ways we cannot predict," said one Arathian officer. "Their ideas are fluid, adaptive, brilliant. We have learned as much from them as they have from us." On Earth, society began to change subtly. Humans, having faced an existential threat, valued creativity, courage, and collaboration even more than before. Technology advanced rapidly, not only in defense but in everyday life. Engineers developed energy systems inspired by alien designs. Schools incorporated lessons from the recent battles. teaching children about strategy, innovation, and problem-solving. Even humor remained a critical part of life. Memes of humans outsmarting aliens, playful stories of children interacting with alien ships, and jokes about miscommunication between species spread across social media. Humans had faced the universe and laughed, not in defiance, but in celebration of resilience, intelligence, and spirit. In quiet moments, humans reflected on what had changed. The world was the same in many ways. The oceans still flowed, cities still thrived, mountains still rose, but the people had evolved. Confidence replaced fear. Curiosity replaced hesitation. Humor replaced uncertainty. Humanity had survived, not because someone else had protected them, but because they had taken responsibility, embraced creativity, and refused to be passive. The Arathians, too, changed. They had arrived with power, technology, and authority. They expected humans to be passive, to rely entirely on their protection. Instead, humans had surprised them at every turn, through experimentation, strategy, and courage. Now the aliens remained not as overlords or mere guardians, but as allies and collaborators. "They are remarkable," an Arathian commander said, quietly, observing children flying kites beneath the shadow of a hovering ship. "They do not need us to dominate or control. They only need guidance, and we have learned the value of cooperation, not command." In one particularly touching moment, a group of human scientists invited alien engineers to a demonstration. Using simple Earth materials, humans recreated a basic version of an Arathian device, one designed for energy redirection. It was far from perfect, but it worked in principle. The aliens studied it closely, impressed by human ingenuity and the ability to apply logic and creativity in ways the Arathians had not anticipated. "You have taken our technology," said an Arathian, "and made it your own. You do not merely follow, you innovate, you lead." Across the planet, celebrations were quiet but profound. Communities shared meals, children played freely, and families reflected on the events that had shaped the world. Humans had faced cosmic threats, led defenses, and earned the respect of a civilization far older and more powerful than themselves. And they had done it with ingenuity, courage, and a sense of humor. At night, humans and aliens alike watched the stars. The cosmos stretched endlessly, filled with mysteries, threats, and possibilities. But now Earth was not merely a planet under watchful eyes. It was a world guided, protected, and inspired by its own people. One young girl in Cairo looked up at the alien ships and whispered to her brother, "They promised to protect us, but I think we could have done it ourselves." Her brother smiled, and they both laughed softly, understanding something the Arathians had long learned. Human spirit could never be underestimated. In orbit, the Arathians adjusted their strategies. They continued to monitor for threats, yes, but they did so with respect and collaboration. Humans were no longer passive participants, they were leaders, advisors, and partners. Together, Earth and its allies would face the future, ready for any challenge the universe could bring, and so life returned to a new normal. Cities thrived, nature flourished, and humanity continued to grow, strengthened by the knowledge that even in the vast, indifferent cosmos, their ingenuity, courage, and spirit mattered. Humans walked among the stars with confidence, humor, and pride, secure in the knowledge that they had earned their place, not as the protected but as the capable, creative, and unyielding guardians of their own world. The Arathians, observing quietly, finally understood the truth they had not expected when they first arrived. Humans did not need protection alone. Humans needed respect, collaboration, and the chance to shape their destiny. And in the laughter, courage, and innovation of Earth's people, the Arathians found a lesson even their advanced civilization had never fully grasped. The greatest strength in the universe is not technology, power, or weapons. It is spirit. Earth smiled beneath the alien ships. Humans smiled back. And for the first time, the universe understood that Earth's people were not merely alive, they were unstoppable,